Crystal and welcome to my channel, my little Malacups, for the first actual video that we will be recording. Recently, I've been feeling really nostalgic when it comes to Sims, and have seen other content creators on like YouTube and TikTok doing playthroughs of some of what I consider the more classic Sims games, like the Herbs or the Sims Busting Out. Now for me personally, those two games were fantastic versions of the Sims on the console. I used to play the Sims, like the basic Sims, the Sims 1, on my parents' computer. Like, I remember waking up in the mornings, going downstairs on the weekends, popping that disc into my mom's computer, and playing for hours on end. Now, currently, I'm doing a run-through on The Sims 4 on TikTok and YouTube of different shorts, like I've done a Not So Berry challenge, and I've been doing just kind of a following of a Sim that I had originally made. Now, I'm getting a little bit, I don't want to say tired, but I am getting a little burnt out from doing those types of challenges, so I wanted to take something that was going to be a little bit more relaxing, like a relaxing approach to the game, so I decided to do some builds. Now, that was originally just going to be me building up Newcrest and making, you know, something, anything in Newcrest. But then I thought, well, I have this little nostalgia feeling going on. Why don't I rebuild some of my favorite, well, not favorites, but why don't I just rebuild some of the builds from like those old games like The Sims Busting Out? So I decided to start building something, just, you know, anything at that point. And the first thing that came to my mind was Dudley's trailer. I had such a, I don't know how they explain it, but like a vivid memory, like just remembering Dudley's trailer. It was like always the first lot I picked for some reason in The Sims Busting Out after you move out of mom's house. So I was like, well, why don't I rebuild that? It used to be the house that I would build as a default on any Sims game. Like when I started playing The Sims 2 and I needed to build a house before I was good at building anything, I built Dudley's trailer because it was such a basic layout, really easy to do. Now I wanted to redo it in The Sims 4, and I had a little bit of a worry about this because, as you can see, the lot, when you rebuild it with the same exact dimensions, it seems kind of huge, honestly. Like, this is supposed to be a trailer, but it's like extending the length of the whole lot, and it just kind of feels overwhelming at first. And I just go through and paint it, and, you know, my worry is still there entirely. Now, I wanted to mimic it as much as possible, too, so, like, I tried to keep to what was already going on, like the blue rooms, the red wallpaper in Dudley's room, things like that. I wanted to try to mimic it as closely as I possibly could. Now, with that being said, I didn't like the original setup of Dudley's trailer. I didn't like how the living room was like in that back corner where I put down the tiling, and the kitchen was on the far wall. Like, I understand why that makes sense, but for me, the kitchen felt too huge and the living area too small. So I reorganized that, as you can see by me placing down those tiles. Now, I wanted to redo the bathroom a little bit too. I don't necessarily remember the exact look of Dudley's old bathroom, but I wanted to put more in than just the sink, the tub, the mirror. Tried rearranging this bathroom a few different ways to see what worked, and ultimately decided that I wanted it to be arranged, I believe, like this. Maybe I rearranged it again. No, I did rearrange it like this and left it like this, and decided, okay, now I can add different clutter items, using like move objects and things to make it work. You'll see a lot of me just kind of testing and seeing exactly what I think would work where. I'm so glad that they allowed those shelves to now slot so we can put our own towels on them, different things like that, because before it just felt so pointless to have such an empty bathroom shelf in the bathroom. Alright, so back to the kitchen here where, like I said, I wanted to go ahead and move the kitchen away from where the living room is, because in The Sims Busting Out, this area was originally the living room, like almost to that exact size. I decided that the windows needed rearranged ever so slightly to get them away from those corners that look like they're supposed to be columns. It was kind of a random thing. But here you'll just see me trying to figure out where do I want to place everything? How can I make this small kitchen still work? I also decided to put some upper cabinets in the kitchen because it just feels more complete if you have cabinetry in the kitchen. I don't know how else to explain it. I was going to put a hood above the stove there, but then I decided against that because it just didn't feel complete. Here I struggled for some reason. I could not get this corner piece to hit the corner to save its life. Like, as you see, it just keeps jumping back and forth, back and forth. I eventually got it. I couldn't tell you how long in real time I actually struggled with that, but it was probably a good solid like 5 minutes of me just trying to get that stupid corner piece to fit there. Otherwise, I just went through and started cluttering up the kitchen, making it feel more like an actual lived-in space versus, you know, just plain Jane. As much as I wanted this to kind of be a starter home, I also wanted it to feel more like, more like an actual, I don't know, like an actual lot. I used a little bit past base game on this. Now, in the Sims Bustin Out, Dudley's trailer was in essentially a desert-like area. Like, you can see cactuses and everything. And while I'm building this in Newcrest, so obviously there is no desert-like area outside, I did only use base game stuff, and I used stuff from the Strangerville pack, because we didn't really have much deserty or trailery feeling things in base game, or at least not that I've noticed, maybe other people have, so I wanted to add that in. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, one of my biggest worries when I was building this lot was, oh my goodness, there's gonna be so much room, how am I gonna clutter this up? But when I started actually filling it in with items from The Sims 4, I started noticing it felt less like it was huge, it was feeling more like a normal size. What I'm thinking was the issue is in those old games like The Sims Busting Out and just any of them in general, like even just Sims 1, those houses weren't necessarily huge and just under stocked, if you will, like under furnished. It's the fact that the furniture was actually kind of made small, if you will. Like the couches were considered small, the TV was small, like everything was just small furniture wise. So the space wasn't huge, the furniture was just small. And I just started realizing that the more I started landscaping and filling in this stuff. I didn't really have a plan of attack when I did this. I kind of started jumping around because I was like, oh well, we'll work on the bathroom, oh we'll go to the living room and we'll do the kitchen. And eventually you'll see me hop back in the house and go back to the bedrooms. Like, I was not consistent with how I did this build at all. I just kind of kept going with whatever felt right for me at the time. Whatever clicked in my head. I don't think I used anything from Debug, so a lot of this stuff is, you know, the landscaping from the game itself. So it's going to be, unfortunately it's an expensive house. Now, I don't know if y'all remember or if any of you guys did play The Sims Busting Out, but Dudley did have a hot tub out on his back patio, so I figured, well, let's add a hot tub. It's a weird kind of house. I gave it some lot traits. I don't remember what specifically I gave it. It kind of flew by there on the screen. But I wanted to redo this room ever so slightly, because in the base game, or not in the base game, in the Busting Out, it was just a basic bedroom. Just had a twin-size bed in it, a dresser. I think that's all there was really in that room. So I wanted to make it more of an actual, like, room. Like, if somebody was to download this off the gallery, it could be like a teenager's room or something like that. So I put a loft bed with a desk underneath it for the room, put different clutter items on it, just trying to make it seem like more of an actual bedroom, if you will. Added the dresser, put some stuff on there as well. I tried to make it seem like this was a room that somebody does a lot of studying and paperwork in. I just wanted it to feel like an actual room that people were staying in. Not something that was just well, you know, here's your bed, here's your dresser, have fun with that. I wanted these rooms to actually feel like they were meant for people. Like, this was supposed to be a well-decorated area. So that's what I did with essentially the whole house as much as I possibly could. I wanted it to feel like it was decorated. I didn't want it to feel just bland. Moving back to what was considered in Busting Out, Dudley's bedroom, which was very red, very... We actually had a zebra stripe bed, which we don't have in The Sims 4, so I was like, well, we're just gonna stick with the red theme here. We're gonna just give him red dresser, red end tables. Then when we're going about doing the clutter, I was like, well, if we're gonna do this as a house that someone might use for like a family, we might as well have her clutter on top of the dresser, different things like that, just to keep it, you know, nice, decorated, looking good. The space in this room felt pretty big, actually. The more I tried to decorate it, the more I realized I don't feel like I have enough stuff, if you will, to figure out how I want to do this room. I eventually decided on just doing random decorations on the wall, different pictures. Thinking back, I might actually have almost put a mirror behind the bed instead of the picture, but I think the picture still works out very nicely. Then I took a nice overhead look at the house again, compared it to what I had on my other computer screen, showing what used to be Dudley's build. Then I decided to just, let's add a little landscaping here and there. Something nice. I mean, like I said, I know his house was originally in the desert in the Busting Out, but for us, we're in Newcrest, so we're gonna add some nice trees. We might as well add some playground equipment for the kids that could potentially live here, things like that. I just wanted it to look nice, ultimately. But yeah, this was fun to build. I really actually enjoyed kind of doing this little throwback. Like I said, I only use stuff from the base game and Strangerville, so enjoy!